Operation Epic Fury. Got some breaking news right now, folks. President Trump just dropped the hammer on the global oil markets. The deep state energy manipulators are absolutely reeling. The International Energy Agency has just agreed to release a record 400 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserves around the world. Now, this is unprecedented, and this is historic. While the establishment media tries to spin this as some kind of crisis, the truth is President Trump just pulled off one of the most brilliant energy moves in modern history. But here's what they're not telling you about why this release is actually a checkmate for both Iran and the Biden legacy. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to tell you exactly why this matters to you and your family right now. When you pulled up to the gas pump this week and saw prices creeping towards $3.57 a gallon, you see, that was not an accident. That was the cost of confronting the Iranian nuclear threat that the weak Biden administration let fester for years. Here's the difference between a leader and a politician. President Trump isn't asking you to sacrifice while he plays politics. He's deploying America's strategic assets to protect your wallet while he protects our nation. Now think about what this means for your monthly budget. 400 million barrels flooding into the global market. 172 million barrels from our reserves hitting next week. This is going to substantially reduce what you pay at the pump, unlike the previous administration that drained our reserves for a midterm election stunt. President Trump has a plan to refill those reserves with even more oil than we have today. You see, this is what real leadership looks like. This is America First in action. Speaking of protecting what matters most, I need to share something personal with you right now. You see, for years, my wife battled chronic pain and anxiety from her diagnosis. We went through endless doctor's visits, treatments that never worked. I had to watch her struggle every single day, and it broke my heart. Then Jonathan Otto introduced us to red light therapy. Her pain vanished, her anxiety lifted. She's sleeping soundly now, full of energy and life again. And my own recovery and vitality, better than guys half my age. This has been truly life-changing for our family. Now, here's the thing. It's not some gimmick. It's backed by NASA research, FDA cleared, and studies show rapid pain relief. When you're dealing with the stress of everything happening in this country, taking care of your health is not optional. It is essential. Red light therapy gave us our lives back, and it can do the same for you. So make sure you go to myredlight.com. You'll find a link below. Use the promo codes exclusively for you. Now let's get back to President Trump's brilliant strategy and the moves the media does not want you to understand. Yes, here's what the mainstream media is completely ignoring about this story. Energy Secretary Chris Wright just exposed the previous administration's abuse of our strategic petroleum reserve. They drained nearly 300 million barrels, not for a national emergency, not for a real crisis, but to manipulate gas prices before an election. That's not what the reserves were designed for. But watch how President Trump does it differently. We're going to pull out 170 million barrels and buy 200 million barrels for delivery next year. More oil in reserve than we started with. See, that's the responsible way. Take a look at this on your screen. The IEA and its member countries will release a record 400 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserves. Oil is flowing. Despite what the fake news will tell you, the IEA's massive release aims to drop prices, but listen to this. Trump says they aren't just dropping prices, they're ending a global threat. President Trump confirms the IEA is releasing a record 400 million barrels from various national petroleum reserves. Listen to the president.
Pleased to report that earlier today, the International Energy Agency agreed to coordinate the release of a record 400 million barrels of oil from various national petroleum reserves around the world, which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world. We don't want to leave early, do we? We got to finish the job, right?
And we will finish the game. Trump's got some big oil plans to lower prices, and it's not just talk. OAN reports it's part of taking strategic action against Iran. It says the U.S. will tap the strategic petroleum oil reserves to counter rising gas prices driven by operations against Iran. Listen.
President Trump announces he will tap the strategic oil reserve to counter rising gas prices driven by operations against Iran. He made that announcement on Wednesday as the national average for a gallon of gas hit $3.57. Crude prices reached triple digits for the first time since 2022, with 20% of the global oil supply disrupted in the first 9 days of the conflict. The reserve holds about 415 million barrels, near its lowest level in decades. The Energy Department confirmed the U.S. will release 172 million barrels of oil from the SPR next week.
Next week. Trump's tapping the reserve to tackle the gas prices from Iranian tensions, yet Energy Secretary Wright has an optimistic note for Americans. Here he is, Chris Wright.
Fortunately, the United States, we produce more oil than we consume. We're a net oil exporter. So overall for the U.S. economy, this isn't bad news. But of course, who President Trump is worried about is not overall. He's worried about every single American consumer. And so, yes, of course, he's concerned about the rising energy prices through this short-term period that people have to suffer.
President Trump's concerned, and he is making moves. With America producing more oil than ever, Secretary Wright isn't buying into the doom, but he slams the Biden administration hard. What was the real misuse of those reserves? Oh, we all remember what happened during that election. Listen.
We have about 415 million barrels in storage right now. Very unfortunately, the Biden administration drained almost 300 million barrels out, mostly to lower gasoline prices for a midterm election without disruptions in energy flows. That's not what the SPR is about. The SPR is about this, when we have short-term disruptions in flows to replace those flows. But Dana, we will simultaneously sell this oil in the near term when it's needed and buy long-term oil, meaning, say, 12 months down the road, and we'll pull out 170 million barrels and we'll put back in 200 million barrels in the next year. So we'll actually have more oil in our SPR a year from now than we do today. Okay. That's the responsible way to use it.
More now, more in a year than what we have now. He's calling out Biden's SPR misuse, but Trump's got the plan to refill smartly. So what is Trump's vision for fighting the oil squeeze? Here is Fox's Brett Baer.
But first, breaking tonight, President Trump says the U.S. will tap into the country's strategic petroleum reserve a little bit, in his words, to ease concerns over rising oil prices. President Trump has just completed remarks to an audience in Hebron, Kentucky. It's the end to a busy day of campaign-like appearances amid his military action in Iran. Earlier, the president touted his prescription drug policy during a stop in Cincinnati. Senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich starts us off tonight live from the North Lawn. Good evening, Jackie.
Good evening, Brett. The president spoke to a local news outlet during his stop in Ohio and made some big news, revealing that the U.S. will draw down the Strategic Petroleum Reserve by a little bit to bring down oil prices and then fill it back up later. It is one of the many ways the White House is trying to stabilize prices while it finishes the job in Iran.
The market's holding up well. I figured we'd be hit a little bit, but we were hit probably less than I thought, and we'll be back on track in a pretty short while.
President Trump making stops in Ohio and Kentucky, where Senate seats are up for grabs in November, making the case that his administration and Republicans in Congress are solving the affordability problem, even though Americans are feeling a spike in energy prices from the war in Iran. Today's average for a gallon of regular gas, $3.58. Up from $3.20 last week and $3.08 last year. Reuters reports the U.S. Navy has denied near-daily requests from the shipping industry to escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. But Trump says companies should feel okay transiting through.
I think they should. I think they should. I think they should use this. In my opinion, look, we took out just about all of their mine ships in one night.
Still, shipping along the narrow strait that carries a fifth of the world's oil supply has all but halted since a week ago. Today, the International Energy Agency's 32-member countries agreed to release 400 million barrels of oil to address supply disruptions.
400 million barrels. So Trump's strategy is not just about oil, it's about standing against an evil empire. Now, does this tie into bigger geopolitical showdowns? Here's what the president posted on Truth Social. The United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. But of far greater interest and importance to me as president is stopping an evil empire, Iran, from having nuclear weapons and destroying the Middle East and indeed the world. I won't ever let that happen. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. Let's go, baby. Now, let me give you the bottom line that the establishment does not want you to understand. President Trump just said it himself in his own words, and I want you to really hear this. America is the largest oil producer in the world. When prices go up, we do make money. But that is not what matters most to this president. What matters is stopping an evil empire from getting nuclear weapons and destroying the Middle East and the world. He said, I won't ever let that happen. You see, that's the difference between a president who puts America first and politicians who put their poll numbers first. Trump is simultaneously crushing Iran's nuclear ambitions, protecting your pocketbook, and rebuilding our strategic reserves. Three-dimensional chess, while his critics play checkers. So what you're witnessing right now is exactly why 77 million Americans put Donald Trump back in the White House. He doesn't just react to crises, he dominates them. While the radical left melts down over military action in Iran, President Trump is already 3 steps ahead, coordinating with our allies, releasing strategic reserves, protecting American consumers, and planning to leave our reserves stronger than he found them. This is leadership. This is strength. This is America winning again. Now, I needed to share this video because the mainstream media is not going to tell you this story honestly. And I want to congratulate you for watching this video all the way to the end. And this is my special gift to you. Text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's where you're going to get direct communication with me, Gary Franchi, to your phone. You don't have to wait for the algorithm to tell you when you should watch the Next News Network. You don't need to wait for a notification from YouTube that never shows up, because those notifications are going to come directly from me to your phone, so you never miss anything. Now drop a comment below and tell me, do you trust President Trump to handle this crisis better than Biden ever could? I think that's an easy one, but yes or no. And if you want to show your support for real news, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Pick out something you like. As always, stay informed, stay free, and God bless America.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.